Here we go. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Sort of a rough one today. Didn't hit the goal in mileage. This time it wasn't necessarily the meals. The meals weren't bad. It was actually kind of some sleep deprivation. She recording this week of recording this August 27th, 2024. Week been looking forward to for a couple months now. Being out here in South Florida, my alma mater, Good Counsel High School. Football is coming to Miami this Friday to play Columbus High School. And I've been super stoked to the point where I couldn't condense all my thoughts into just one video. I had to do a whole week's worth of Good Counsel thoughts, Good Counsel football thoughts about when I played there. And given that I've been in this frame of mind, I almost feel like I'm playing again. I feel like I'm suiting up this Friday and I can't even sleep. So I found out the hard way that the sleep deprivation does make a difference. Probably working off maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep, to be honest with you. You probably hear it in my voice, we're exhausted. So I had to cut it at 7 miles, but don't worry, gonna get it back, gonna get some rest. Got the speed workout tomorrow at the track, and then you already know Thursday, make up for it with a half marathon again, like I did a week ago. But more important than the mileage, matter of making sure I'm replenishing, making sure I'm putting the right stuff in my body. You know, as this marathon gets closer and closer, I'll repeat what I said last year in terms of it's just about many ways making it to race day 100% as healthy as possible, which I made a mistake of last year by rushing it and not, nutrition, putting the right stuff in my body going into that race day. All right. So as far as today's Move Swiftly thought, we're doing, like I said, we're recording this on a Tuesday, which means it's Top 5 Tuesday, baby. Top 5 Tuesday. Every Tuesday I count down a top 5 of some sort, depending on the current events, what's going on in my life, the excitement or whatever may be going on in the world that I want to speak about. So this week's Top 5 Tuesday is my top 5 moments from playing football at Good Counsel, Our Lady of Good Counsel High School, all right? And again, I have a lot. Obviously, I have more than 5. I have about 555. But here, when I really thought about it, as I was thinking about it, getting ready for today's start, again, losing sleep over it, the whole thing. Here's the top 5. Coming in at number 5, it's my JV year. And it was the last game of an undefeated season. We were playing a team named Paul VI, PVI, we called them, another Catholic school in Virginia. And it was that was our last game to finish off an undefeated season. And I remember during the game, actually, I played linebacker. So during the game, I noticed the splits between the guard and the center were like this big, like really wide splits. If you don't know what splits are, it's the distance between the center and the guard. They call those splits. So as a linebacker, you're taught to pick up on these things, to know what the defense should be running, the stunts they should be making, all that kind of stuff. So I noticed how wide the splits were, and I run over to Coach Bonasissi, who was the head coach at the time, and I'm like, yo, they got really wide splits. Can I just, pierce that A gap? And he said, yeah, go ahead, do what you got to do. And it turned out that I got a sack on that very play, turnover on downs, the whole thing. And that translates, the reason I remember that is because that translates into how you live your adult life, and the research you do and picking up on certain cues and making sure you're looking and studying your opponent in a way in which is going to be formidable to attack them, in which you can attack them in a formidable way, I should say, in the proper way, in the best way, and understand what your game plan should be. So that's number 5. Coming in number 4, fast forward to my senior year, playing against the same team, Paul VI, where I don't normally talk about my stats like that because I don't think they're really important in football, but this was actually a big deal for me because it earned me Defensive Player of the Week honors in the whole metropolitan area. We were playing Paul VI, got 16 tackles and 2 sacks. And it didn't even feel like I did that. It wasn't until the game was over where one of the JV coaches, or I believe the freshman coaches, multiple, like not just one, but multiple of them who was in charge of keeping the stats, looked at me towards the end of the game, and it was a blowout win. And he says to me, hey, I only got you down for 16 tackles today. And the knock on me was I wasn't making enough tackles. We had, easily the best defensive line in the country. All 5 of them went D1. So a lot of them were taking a lot of tackles I could have had and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, the stats weren't as important to me as they were, the coaches and all that kind of stuff. So that was a rewarding moment given, it was my senior year. I finally got some shine, got some look, got some notoriety in terms of my ability or something I did on the field, right? Now, the next 3 are actually nothing to do with what actually like stats and, all conference honors, nothing actually to do with anything like that. It's all about how my teammates looked at me and how hard work is contagious. And regardless of how much of a social misfit you may be or how overlooked you may feel or, maybe looked at like you don't have friends or all that, maybe looked at on the outside looking at as a misfit and all that. When you put your work in, you're always going to gain the respect of your peers, right? So it was going into my junior year, and the linebackers, there was a linebacker spot that was wide open, because we had lost this guy named Tim Graney, who was a captain, and we lost him to graduation. And everyone knew who Akeem Hebron, unfortunately, I have to say the late Akeem Hebron is. And everyone knew he was going to be him. He was, on his way to the University of Georgia, and everyone was talking about him. So, there was no telling on who was going to actually be his starting linebacker next to him. And it wasn't during camp where I was just having an excellent camp. And it was towards the end of one of those practices, one of those 2-a-days where we were in the locker room, and Akeem just said, "Hey, Wani might start, but he might fuck around and starts. He might start." And he said it serious. And, it meant a lot to me knowing that someone of his stature would recognize my hard work. And, when I finally did get the starting spot against the Matha, he was the first one to tell me. So, between those 2 sequence of events, especially seeing that he was the first one of my teammates to actually be on, first one of my high school teammates to be on my podcast and reach out, it means a lot. Still, like I said, every time I think about it, I always think about him when it comes to teamwork and a lot of the things he did to help me instill confidence in myself, right? Top 2, technically 1A and 1B, was when I got voted captain my senior year by my teammates. And number 1, actually 2 was when I got voted captain my senior year. And number 1 is actually when I got voted captain my sophomore year as a JV player. And they're both very, very special. But the fact that it happened my sophomore year, given the freshman year I had where I had to go to summer school just to become eligible to play, I was, again, didn't have any friends. I didn't play for the freshman team. No one knew me really when it comes to school. They saw me around school, but it was never like, who is this guy? So for me to come in and earn my teammates' respect within that 2 weeks in terms of how I played, how I approached the game, and for them to vote me captain that JV year where we went undefeated, again, that ranks number 1. Ranks number 1. I'll never forget that moment. And seeing that we went undefeated, seeing that we had such a good year, I hold that situation very, very near and dear to my heart. So top 5, that's my top 5. Just to recap, counting down my top 5 moments playing for Good Counsel High School football. Number 5, seeing an opening when I was a sophomore during the game. Seeing an opening as the guard in the center had wide split, so I blitzed the A gap and got a sack. Number 3, getting 16 tackles plus 2 sacks my senior year. Number 4 was getting 16 tackles and 2 sacks my senior year. Number 3 was when Akeem Hebron, the late legend Akeem Hebron, told me that I was starting the beginning of the year, and told me it was the first one to tell me I'd be starting during the last game of the season against the Matha. And then 1 and 2 when I got voted captain by my teammates my senior year and my sophomore year, the sophomore year in which we went undefeated. So all that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one, Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.